Hello, and welcome to the first episode of Terry Makes. And I got this channel for mostly 3D printing and such, but today, the first thing I want to talk about are LED lamps. Now, I'm not going to talk about bulbs or the LEDs themselves, but rather lamps and an issue that most people don't understand in these. The industry wants you to think that these devices, whatever size shape they come in, are going to last you 100,000 hours or more. You know, even the more conservative ones say 50,000 hours. Now, it's true that the individual LEDs have a very long lifespan, but what people don't understand is that each one of these has to have some sort of a power supply in them, something to cut the voltage down to make the LEDs work. Well, as you can see by these leftover heat sinks, I've had several that have given up on me way before their 100,000 hour lifespan. And the LEDs didn't give out, the power supplies did. So 100,000 hours is not unrealistic for an individual LED. It's still kind of a crapshoot. I have had individual LEDs go out in 5,000 hours. They don't like transient spikes, over voltages, things like that. They also don't like extra heat. But the big problem is that inside here is a power supply. And those power supplies are very cheaply made usually. And they really don't like heat. And as you can tell by these heat sinks, LEDs do generate heat, at least the ones that are used for visible light, i.e. light bulb replacements. Okay, so as an example, today I just replaced one of my LEDs. I tore it apart because I wanted to see what was wrong with it. And I had this for probably 6 years in my home office. That's fine. It's not near 100,000 hours, not near 5,000 hours, but that was quite a bit of time, you know, and I paid like 15 bucks for these back then. 15, maybe 20. No, I think it was close to $15 for these. This was these were 13 watts. These were, at the time, these were my favorites, and I still have them all around my shop. Of course, as they go out, I'm replacing them with newer, lighter, brighter ones. But just be aware of that. If you go out and buy an LED, don't expect it to last 100,000 hours. If you go out and buy an LED bulb, and by bulb I mean a fixture like this that has a power supply, multiple LEDs, ready to plug in, ready to screw into a socket. And that's the main part of this story. Now I'll go into a few other minor things about LEDs. There are, of course, lots of different types of LEDs. These lamps were known as corn cob because they kind of look like in your corn with all of the rows of bulbs on them. And these are old school type LEDs that are actually in plastic with a little lens on each LED. The newer ones are closer to like this. These are 50/50 LEDs, and these are just LEDs with no lens on top of it, like that. And it's very common in things like this, and even in LED lighting strips. So they are evolving now. These are what was considered to be high-powered LEDs. These are 1-watt LEDs. So this is a little 5-watt bulb, although the power supply is probably not running them at the full 5 watts. Manufacturers underdrive them a little bit so that they last longer, so that they can get out of warranty before you have an issue. And this is a type called a COB, or chip on board. This is not one LED in there, it's multiple LEDs in one little unit. And so there's all different kinds. There's even newer ones, newer LED chips, or newer LED, single LEDs that are much brighter than the 5050s. But a few years ago, the 5050 was the bomb, man. It was the go-to LED if you wanted really brightness. Now, LEDs also come in different color temperatures, and that's something you should know. Somewhere between 2700K to 3000K is what you would call warm white. That kind of represents a typical standard light bulb. That is that the light is lightly tannish color or warm. Then you've got LEDs that are in the 5000K, which are called pure white or white light or daylight. And that's actually my preferred LEDs. A lot of people like the warm white ones just because in a house it makes it look less sterile of an environment. It's warming. That's fine. I need a lot of light to see these days, so I like the bright white ones that are 5000K, and they just they seem brighter to my eyes. But then you get up into the 6000K, 6500K, and those are lights that nobody really likes, and that is because they have a bit of a blue tint to them. So if you ever see LEDs that got a kind of a blue tinge to them, that's because it's above the 5000K spectrum. And you know, of course, that's pretty much going to be this first episode on LEDs. I hope to do a lot more with 3D printing on this channel because that's one of my passions. I like to make all kinds of useful gadgets. Lots of stuff for GoPro cameras. I don't do very many what I call shelf stuffers. You know, things that just sit on a shelf. I do occasionally, just for the fun of it. I mean, you know, everybody's got a 3D printer's got to do a octopus, you know, or octopus kind of thing. But most of mine are useful. I need a shelf bracket, or I need a replacement knob for a device, or I need something to hold something, you know, things like that. Anyway, that's going to do it for this episode. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up, and always appreciate if somebody subscribes so you can see the future content of this channel. And it will be, like I said, a lot of 3D stuff, but it may also include electronics, even possibly metalworking. Yeah, I don't do that much metalworking anymore, but just anything that has to do with making things or electronics about them. So, hope you liked it. See you next time.